apologize, we're running a little bit late. I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, June 26th, 2018 Town of Rockport Board of Selectmen's meeting to order. If everyone could please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. First on the agenda this evening, we have a public comment period, and I just ask that you, if you'd like to speak, come up to the podium. And it looks like the light is green, right, on there? It looks like from here. Great. And just state your name and address for the record. Anyone? Toby? Shoot. Sorry.
Toby Arsenian, 95 Granite Street. Can you hear?
It doesn't seem like no, it doesn't seem like it's on. Maybe I think she'll fix it though.
Try
again.
Toby
Now we can
Arsenian,
hear you.
95
Perfect.
Granite Street.
Great.
Leading up to the last town meeting, I wrote your board two letters stamped in on February 16th and February 20th, having to do with the Government and Bylaw Committee. The first having to do with interviews of prospective candidates, asking that those interviews, or requiring, if it were passed as a bylaw, that the candidates be interviewed at joint meetings of the appointing committee, of which the chair of the Board of Selectmen is a member, and the Board of Selectmen. That way, the candidates would be seen by the public, and it would be the same procedure as for any other committee appointment. People would get a chance to see who they were about to be gifted with or saddled with, and make objections if they wanted to. The other letter dealt with also the Government and Bylaw Committee, and required public hearings for changes in the bylaws. Hearings are required for changes in the zoning bylaw. It makes good sense, and would cost only the whatever it costs to advertise a hearing, so that people would be aware of what was coming forward, changes in the bylaws. Might be able to offer useful advice to the Government and Bylaw Committee. At any rate, would be warned of what's approaching before the town meeting. It seems to me that both of these are good government and common sense, and I asked you then to put them on the warrant, and was told it would be considered when you opened the warrant. Mitch now tells me that you do that later in the process. Anyway, I remind you of the two letters and ask you to go back and review them. And I would ask for a slot on the agenda at not the next meeting, but the subsequent meeting, to explain in greater detail. Perhaps at that point you could invite the moderator and the sorry remnants of the Government and Bylaw Committee, which I gather is again in disarray. Thank you.
Mitch, did you want to comment on that?
Certainly, Madam Chair. As the board indicated prior to the Springtown meeting, a previous speaker did provide some letters, and the board did say that they would consider those for the fall. So I do have them on the draft articles list. So once the warrant closes, as is the board's standard procedure, you consider each article and make your decision at that time. And it is the board's typical practice that you have conversations with folks coming in, and that's been conveyed to a previous speaker.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Ward?
Ward Talbot from Long Beach. I tried to make the letter that Debbie distributed to you yesterday as self-explanatory as I could. Kind of a simple thing. And I came tonight in the event that there are any questions that I can answer about it, and to request that you give us the authority to replace that little piece of concrete.
Mitch, did you want to thanks, Ward. Did you want to comment on this? I
So-
think, is this something you and Joe, you and the DPW director have been dealing with?
It is.
Okay.
So, Madam Chair, I believe if you look on, I have my packet with me, if I could just borrow one for one moment.
Sure.
Thank you. So if you look on page 3 and 4 are the two pages that are particularly relevant. Starting with page 4, the lower picture with the red vehicle in front of it. That is what the area currently looks like after the tennis court revisions. And if you go back to page 3, that older walkway was removed by Public Works as part of the project and our contractor. That's the area in question. So looking at page 4 again, the current area is graded out. It's stone dust. It's very accessible right there. We will be actually adjusting the parking in front of that space. That is the area that we've determined is the most appropriate to access the tennis courts. It's directly across from a fire break. So the DPW director and I actually think it'd be a significant hazard to put that back. This is all unleased land, just so we're on the same page, and this is unleased land. We feel it would be inappropriate to replace that walkway with what it is. So we're of the mindset, the director and I, that it should stay as it is.
If I may.
Sure.
With the current conditions the way they are, is there any impeded access by way of the upgrades that have been made at all?
No, it actually makes it much more accessible
Right,
in
okay.
the current state.
Okay. So I guess my question would be, why would we need to put a walkway in? If access is there, why would we need it?
We're asking simply to replace a piece of the walkway that was taken out in order for them to enlarge the court.
But I understand, but is it an access thing? Why is it even necessary? If access is good the way it is, why would it need to be put back in? I don't know. I'm confused, I guess.
One of the reasons is the age and
Right.
physical condition of my wife.
Is what? I'm sorry?
The age and physical condition of my wife,
Okay.
who has had 2 hip replacements and a broken leg. She walks with a cane. It's easier for her to walk on concrete to get to the cars. And as you can see, if you look at those pictures on page 4, when they took the concrete out, they put in the same material that constitutes the court. So it's very hard. And then poured the loose stone dust on top of that. So you've got a surface just like the court with loose stone dust on top of it. She'd be better off without it if she could walk on concrete.
But I have a question. It's not land that you lease there, right? You only lease this to the steps?
Actually, it's further back from the steps. All of the steps are on unleased land.
Okay. But the steps were left because they come off of the
Correct, and
steps.
we repoured and corrected
The
that
landing, basically.
Yep.
Okay,
The steps have been there for about 100 years, near as we can find out.
right,
That's an old building.
right, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, to me, it looks like it's actually much safer without that there, especially since it's unleased land. I don't,
Safer for whom?
safer for the public. It's public land. It's unleased land.
You think that requires a public access way onto that tennis court that wide for the number of people who play?
Well, the tennis courts are public. I think we've determined that.
Correct.
The
Of course
tennis
it is.
courts, and it's near a fire break. So I think what they did, instead of having kind of an awkward piece of concrete kind of blocking the public way, it looks like they've cleared it up. They put a nice, easier landing at the bottom of the stairs. I mean, to be perfectly honest, it looks like it just made a barrier so it appeared as though it was your land, which I would assume it probably did for several years.
It's never been our land.
Right.
The town owns all of it.
Right. But I think that with the old piece of concrete there, it gave the appearance that it was your leased land, which it obviously wasn't, as you've pointed out. But I mean, I think that this is something that's up to the town administrator and DPW director have decided with the tennis court renovation, unless anyone else has another opinion. Yeah. Right? Anything else?
I'm good.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess the only question I would have, Mitch, is it the dust itself that makes walking difficult for her?
It's the dust on top of the hard tennis court surface. It's the same material underneath it.
Understood, but would it be possible to sweep the dust away, or?
So the director's indicated to me that he's had conversations with the previous speaker about putting in some additional material in front of the walkway where the vehicle actually is.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Is there
that's something
we
that
can
we've
do
said,
to- Yeah,
we've already said we would do.
okay.
That's great.
That seems fair.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a more hard pack. It's
Yeah,
not
great.
stone dust,
Not
but the
like-
public path to the,
Right.
to the tennis court, we've chosen as stone dust there.
Okay. Great. Okay.
That sounds fair.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks. Okay.
So you're not going to act on my request?
No, I believe at this point they're just going to look to put in a more hard packed surface between the new landing and the cars. Is that
Correct, not
right?
towards the court,
Not
but in
towards
front
the
of the
court, but in front of
vehicles.
it, towards their cars.
Correct, we'll put some
Which
other
is,
type of
which is where their
material.
reserve parking, where those two
Correct.
cars are? Great.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll talk with Joe and see what it is he plans to put in there.
Great. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Anyone else for public comment? No? Okay. Moving on, we have an interview of David McKinnon for reappointment to the Conservation Commission. Hi, David. Nice to see you. You can stand or have a seat. It's
Stands
totally
fine.
up to you.
No
Stands
problem.
fine. Nice to see you.
Great. Yeah, Dave McKinnon, 36 King Street, Vice Chairman of the Conservation Commission.
Great. Hold on one second. I'm just going to have a motion made.
I move that Selectmen reappoint David McKinnon as a member of the Conservation Commission for a term to expire on June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what's going on with Conservation Commission and why you're willing to stick it out for?
Thank you.
I never
You're
want
welcome.
people to get intimidated by like the year that the reappointments end.
Sure.
But
Yeah, I mean, my first 3 years on the board was definitely a learning experience on how the whole board works and acts and learning the Wetlands Protection Act. And I feel like in the next 3 years, there are a few policies that I want to work on and some practices to sort of monitor a few of our conservation properties that I'd like to work with Jerry on and sort of documenting our property boundaries and getting those on a GIS file and such. So.
great, great. Are there specific questions?
No, just one thing I'll throw out there, and it's going to come up later on, is that there's going to be an outreach by the board to committees. So these updates are going to be critical for all of us to work together going forward. So
Great.
we're looking forward to hearing in more detail and having more members here to see what we can do to collaboratively work together, if I said that right.
Yeah, an open dialogue would be great
Perfect.
to have, sure.
Great,
Great.
thank you.
I just want to say thank you for your hard work, Dave. And Dave is a very engaged and committed member. We're working on a meeting now on Woodland Acres to kind of get some of the lore associated with that land and maybe get that story posted.
Great.
So that people who visit can
Yeah,
understand what
I'm
it
a
is.
vice president of the Cape Ann Trail Stewards, and we worked on installing a kiosk at Woodland Acres. And so we're gonna, now the kiosk has been installed, we want to work on the information, get a map put up there, and put our rules and regulations, and then put a little like history behind Woodland Acres as well up there, so.
Great. I've actually just in the past like couple weeks been approached by some residents who would be interested in making some donations to help make Woodland Acres more accessible.
Oh, great.
You know, in terms of information, trails,
Sure.
but make it more accessible to residents to enjoy.
Yeah, Woodland Acres really does allow it, or have a great path to sort of allow for an ADA trail potentially there. There's some grants we could write for that.
Great.
And such, so,
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great. So we
Nice.
look forward to having you guys in soon.
yeah, it'd be great.
And so tonight we vote on this. We vote on the reappointment, right, Mitch? Okay.
Correct.
Any further questions or comments? Thanks so much for being willing to serve. I know
Oh, my
that.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know
guys.
we have
Really,
a
thank
couple
you.
of reappointment interviews tonight, and you guys all work so hard. I think it's just amazing to me. So thanks for all of your hard work.
You're welcome, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Great. Next, we have interview of Thomas Stockton for reappointment to the Historic District / Historical Commission.
Would you like a motion?
Sure, please.
I move that the Selectmen reappoint Thomas Stockton as a member of the Historical District Commission for a term to expire on June 30th, 2021.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Good evening.
Good evening.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Do you want to do the same thing?
I note from the agenda that Jim Ugoni, our chairman, has the position later on the evening, so I certainly don't want to steal his thunder or have you hear the same thing twice. So I'm going to let him fill you in on the challenges and some of the plans that the commission has both been experiencing and wanting to do in the future.
Well,
Great.
one question I have is, I attended, I forget what meeting that was, but I think it was the Zoning Board of Appeals where somebody presented preliminary plans for a house down in Dock Square, and a very historical house that they want to tear down. And just wondered if that has that come up before the commission yet?
Yes and no. We haven't actually, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
I was missing a few of the meetings this winter, but it has not come before us as of yet. We're aware it's coming, and we've, pardon my expression, girded our loins for it, but we are aware that it's coming.
Yeah, it's quite concerning. I mean, obviously, we want to support people who contribute to the town and all, but it's a historic structure that,
Exactly.
yeah, right in the middle of the district,
Right.
yeah.
Any further questions or comments?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
you.
so
Thank
much
you,
for your
Tom.
Thank
willingness
you.
to continue to serve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Next, we have our third interview of Elwin Richter for reappointment to the Personnel Board. Hi, Elwin. Hi. Nice to see you. Is there a motion?
There is. Madam Chair, I move that the Selectmen reappoint Elwin Richter as a member of the Personnel Board for a term to expire on June 30th, 2021.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. I know, 2021 seems really far away. It's not. Don't.
Well, that struck me too. 2021 does seem quite a bit
Doesn't
away.
it? Good evening.
But
Nice to
this
see
would
you.
be my third term.
Goodness.
So I've already served on the Personnel Board for 6 years.
Wow.
And it's been an interesting time. And it's been really wonderful to watch that board grow and to change. I think that when I first joined that board, it was largely a working, very hands-on, roll-up-your-sleeves board, getting things done. But as time's gone by, with Linda and then Mitch and the director of the appointment of the HR director, the competency in the town has increased so much that we're largely advisory, and it has been really a good experience.
Oh, that's great.
So
It's good to hear.
it's
Yeah.
it's been a good ride, I think. Wouldn't you say, Mitch?
Completely agree. It's a pleasure to work with the members. Elwin is a fantastic member of the board. All five of them are great. We couldn't ask for a better group.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, I will tell, just to attest to what Alan said, when I first was on the Board of Selectmen, we barely had HR files, right?
We've come a long way.
We've
in
come a
lot of those
long
areas.
way. We've come a long way, and I remember, like, literally the Personnel Board was doing all of the work, and they're obviously a volunteer board with, like, a variety and wealth of knowledge and experience that is, like, I mean, the resumes, if you were to put together all of your resumes, you're just like, whoa. But thank you very much for continuing
That's what
to
makes
serve.
it interesting too for us, is because we all complement one another in
Yeah.
different areas of expertise.
Yeah, it's worked out well, and I know that you guys along the way have recruited others, other people for your board that has been so helpful.
Yep.
And I'm glad to hear that it's working out so well with
Wonderful.
the HR director. Any other questions?
I'm good. Just thank you
Thank you.
for continuing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions or comments for us?
No.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Nice
you.
to see you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great summer.
Thanks, you too.
Next, we have one of our favorite items on the
Yes.
agenda. We have an interview of Nadia Robertson for a street performer license.
I
Good
move-
evening.
Oh, sorry.
We'll make the motion.
Okay. I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign a street performer license for Nadia Robinson.
Second?
Motion has
Robertson,
been
sorry.
made and seconded. Good evening,
It's okay.
Nadia.
Hello.
Goodness, you're one of those I'll say people now who makes me feel really old. The board has received your application. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you'd like to do downtown?
Well, basically, I've been singing and playing the piano since I can remember, like 4 or 5 years old. And I simply love bringing my gift out there and using it to make people smile and feel good and enjoy and have a great time. So I thought that playing downtown sometimes and just letting people pass by and hear it would be a nice thing to do. And I would love to do it.
So I don't know if anyone told you, Nadia, but when people come to the board for this license, they have to actually perform.
She's kidding.
I've heard you perform, so I think it would be wonderful.
I've heard her
Yes.
many times at
Yeah.
a lot of different functions. Fantastic. Yeah.
My favorite part of your application, and I feel like we should kind of say this should be written on the application itself, is that the amplification of your music and voice will draw people to your performance, because I think that's the goal of the street performer licenses, is for people to be drawn to them downtown. And I know that's, since we've kind of taken the approach of interviewing people and making sure that people have the best interests of the town and want to keep with the character, I think we're achieving that goal so far, knock on wood. I say that, some crazy person will probably apply next. But I love that you put that on the application, because that really is the goal. And I think it's awesome to hear local kids that have kind of grown up here, and that we have been lucky to hear at local concerts, but to share your talent downtown is
Thank you
awesome.
so much.
And I assume you're working with the office on just kind of the rules and coordination with other street performers down there. Great. Any,
Maybe you should have George sing with you. Man of many talents.
He can play the bongo drums.
There you go.
Great. Any further questions or comments?
Thank you.
Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Great. Look forward to seeing
Can't
you
wait
down
to
there.
see
Awesome.
you.
Thank
Have
you.
a great time. Bye, George. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Okie dokie. Moving right along. Approval of minutes of June 12th, 2018. Is there a motion?
Would that be me?
No, it's Ruthie.
I'm sorry.
I move that Selectmen approve the minutes for June 12th, 2018 meeting.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? I had any changes. They look great. Anyone else?
That was fine.
Okay,
Nope.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. The motion carries. Eileen, I feel like we're gonna have to start making up mistakes or something.
We are. They're just perfect.
They literally, I know. Okay, next we have a motion to open the fall town meeting warrant.
Yes, I move that the Selectmen open September 17th, 2018 Fall Town Meeting warrant.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. And Mitch, when will the warrant close?
The warrant closes July 24th.
July 24th. Okay, I just want to note that.
Let's put that in the schedule.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
No.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have annual reappointment of the Beautification Committee.
Madam Chair, I move that the board appoint Stephanie Wolf, Terry Duffy, Martha Finta, Betsy Giancarlo, Christine Lovegren, Amon Goldman, Jill Marshall, Christine Grenier, Nina Samilioff, Phineas Kelly, Mary Mintz, Heidi Goodwin, Mark Zivkovitz, and Pat McGee as members of the Beautification Committee for terms to expire on June 30th, 2019.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded.
I think I did pretty good with those
You
names.
did.
I was just gonna comment.
I
You
just want to
did.
throw a little something.
You did better than Paul would have.
No question.
Everybody would have been Italian at the end of that one.
No que- I would have butchered him.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Next, we have annual reappointments of the Economic Development Committee.
I move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Peter Beecham, James Cox, Lana Rasden, Lori Tuck, Teresa Scatterday, Cynthia Belchu, Tracy Nestle, and Lorene Wessel as members of the Economic Development Committee for terms to expire on June 30th, 2019.
Great. Motion has been made
Second.
and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, annual reappointments of the Green Community Task Force.
I move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Maureen Allaward, Edward Hand Jr., Tom Mikas, and David Perry as members of the Green Community Task Force for terms to expire on June 30th, 2019.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. I know Tom is here. Tom, thank you for your continued work on that task force.
Is JD still on the task force?
He is about to leave.
Oh, no. Too bad.
Yeah.
So maybe a little while, but not soon.
Yeah.
So are you looking for new members? Okay.
Okay.
Not
Give it some
here,
thought.
but
Give it some thought.
I'll think about it.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Any further comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Annual reappointment of special police officer.
Yes, I move that the board appoint Robert Tybert as a special police officer for a term to expire on June 30th, 2019.
Okay.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Mitch, do you want, is there,
I'll abstain.
okay.
Annual reappointment for this, he's eligible for reappointment until he hits 65.
Okay, great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay, with one abstention. Thank you. Annual reappointments of the Thatcher and Straitsmith Islands Committee.
I move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Sidney Wedmore, Seth Cutter, Richard Morris, Lee Marr, Thomas Eldridge, William Cardani, Frederick Tarr III, Gail Zeman, Paula Eldridge, and Raymond Ross as members of the Thatcher Island and Straitsmith Islands Committee for terms to expire on June 30th, 2019.
Seconded.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Not discussion, just a
Oh.
point. My father-in-law was on this. Should I abstain from here?
Yes, I would suggest you
All right.
abstain.
Okay, then I shall abstain.
Paul, do you have anyone on this one?
Yeah.
do not.
Are you kidding? Was that a loaded question?
went
No,
to the
isn't his
prom with all of
father-in-law?
None here. Nothing jumps
You
out.
didn't date anybody
Yeah,
here,
no.
or nothing like that? The prom, nothing like that? All right, good.
Former marriages or something.
Right.
On that note, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Summer with the Board of Selectmen.
Right.
With one abstention. Annual reappointment of the Traffic and Parking Committee.
Madam Chair, I move that the board appoint Jim Ugon as a member of the Traffic and Parking Committee for a term to expire on June 30th, 2019.
Seconded.
Motion has been made and seconded. Jim is here. Jim, thank you for your continued work on that committee. You're not going to say anything.
Good time.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, head down.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have annual reappointment of the Conservation Commission.
I move that the board appoint Laura
I think it's
Co-
Kozacek.
Kozacek as a member
Yeah.
of the Conservation Commission for a term to expire June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Next, we have appointment of Nancy Robb as a member of the Council on Aging.
Madam Chair, I move that the board appoint Nancy Robb as a member of the Council on Aging for a term to expire on June 30, 2021.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have the appointment of Monica Lawton, who we interviewed last week, as a member of the Building Study Committee.
I move that the board appoint Monica Lawton as a member of the Building Study Committee for a term to expire on June 30th, 2019.
Motion has been made
Seconded.
and seconded. I gave this stuff to Ruth.
Thank
now.
I don't want to hurt anybody.
We don't need to watch you try to sign 50 documents. Motion has been made and seconded, and obviously Monica is well suited for this committee. Any further discussion?
I just have a question. So now we have 2 members on this committee?
Correct. One more to hit that
Need
quorum.
one more?
Oh, okay. We can do that. We can do it, everybody. One more.
Who's the first one?
Patrick Casey?
Well,
Oh, look at it.
can you send the chart? Can you send the charge around for that? Can you email out the charge again for that
Certainly,
one?
yep.
Okay, great. Thanks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay. So before we move into the seasonal, I will just say again, because I know we did like, I don't know, probably close to 100, over 50 of these last week, but the people we just reappointed are the people that make the town tick, like hands down. And I'm reminded yet again of our visit to third grade, when I asked the kids how many volunteers they thought there were in town, and they first guessed 1 million.
Yeah.
But then they guessed a much lower number. But when I told them that it was like a couple hundred people, they couldn't
300,
believe
wasn't
it. It's
Like-
it's over 200 people.
It's over 200.
Over
Yeah,
200.
just so cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Moving on to appointments of our seasonal positions. Seasonal recreation.
I move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Kirsty Muldern as a seasonal employee at will, tennis instructor for the Recreation Department for the 2018 season.
Just so I think it's Christy Mulkern.
I thought it was Mulkern, too, yeah.
Just-
Yep.
Second.
Yes.
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded. Further discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Why don't we go through, does anyone have any issues with any one of any of these? I just want to ask for discussion so we can kind of
Okay.
move through them. Okay. K5B.
I move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Laurie Twombly as a seasonal employee at will summer fun instructor for the Recreation Department for the 2018 season.
Is there
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. C.
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Ann O'Connell as a seasonal employee at will summer fun art manager for the Recreation Department for the 2018 season.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Paula O'Brien.
I move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Paula O'Brien as the seasonal employee at will summer fund director for the Recreation Department for the 2018 season.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. I will tell you that Paula O'Brien makes the summer fun.
Oh, yeah.
For like hundreds
Wow.
of kids up in the at the summer fun recreation program. She's the director.
That's great.
And she works at the school all year, and they, like the 2 weeks that there's no school before their summer fun, they can't wait to get back and
Oh,
see
that's
her.
great.
Which is really cool.
That's cool.
So good luck to her and her, what looks to be a great staff for this year.
Are they doing swimming lessons?
They're not.
No, that we never got
know.
to get that back going.
No,
Didn't
too
Eliza try that when
expensive.
she came on?
We tried,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yep.
enrollment wasn't high enough
Yeah.
because the insurance costs are so high.
And a lot of competition to try to even get anybody to apply. It
It
was a
was tough.
struggle.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was a kid
Wow.
that used to, I mean, we
Oh,
used to
yeah.
do afternoon lessons, morning
Yep,
lessons.
morning lessons.
remember, we used to just ride our bikes around.
Yep.
Get in that cold water to them, and that was child abuse.
Yep,
Not
I
really,
do.
I'm just kidding.
On that note, all those in favor
Anyway.
say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. E.
I move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Griffin Beaton, Haley Falls, Clara Collins, Talia McWilliams, Wyatt Voris, Phoebe Twombly, Kay Molly Twombly, Lucy Twombly, and Jacob Wessel, all as seasonal employees at will summer fun counselors for the Recreation Department for the 2018 season.
Second?
Second.
Okay.
Oops.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Appointment of lifeguards.
I move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Chloe Annard, Miles Bryan, Paris Flynn, Samantha Gove, Stephen Garia, Jason Mahoney, and Eve Marie Rudler as employees at will, seasonal lifeguards for the 2018 season.
Okay.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Last I knew, they were still looking for a few more lifeguards.
Looking for 2 more.
Two more. Oh, that's great, because last week they were looking for 4 or 5. So if anyone knows anyone interested,
You need 2 more?
great
I believe the
summer
number's 2
job.
now. Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe it's 2.
I have the posting from the police chief, Paul. Maybe you can circulate it.
Yeah, I get that.
You seem to know a lot of kids.
Yeah, sadly.
But they had a lot, they had like an abnormal number age out of,
Yeah.
of lifeguarding last
Yeah.
year. But we've upped the pay in the last few years, so the pay is really competitive, and it's a great,
Yeah.
spending
Great.
a beach, summer on the beach in
Yeah.
Rockport doesn't get
Yeah.
much better than
Yeah.
that.
Go to the
Yeah.
beach, you might as well get paid to be there.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right, absolutely.
And I know a lot of these kids, and they're great kids, so I think it'll be a good summer. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have accept the resignation of Patrol Officer Keith Militello.
Madam Chair, I move that the board accept the resignation of Keith Militello as a Rockport Patrol Officer effective immediately.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further comments? Just thank Keith for his service
We
and
wish him well.
Yep.
wish him well.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Oh, one abstention, excuse me. Motion passes. Next, we have a one-day alcohol license for the Art Association for July 14th. I believe the backup is on our desk.
It is.
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move that the selectmen approve and sign a one-day alcohol license for the Rockport Art Association for July 14th, 2018.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Does it say what the event is?
Bastille Day.
What is
I don't
that?
know, I'm making it up.
Usually they just say what the event,
Yeah.
it says what the
Yeah.
event is.
It's a well, they're calling it a music evening event, so I assume some type of fundraising event for them.
Okay. And everything looks in order to the office?
Everything is in
Mitch?
order.
Great.
The two public safety chiefs have signed off as well.
Great.
Yep.
Okay. Any further questions?
None.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Next, we have 44 Long Beach, lease to reflect a change of address.
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign a lease for 44 Long Beach with the Chickatawbit Condominium Trust, Richard LeMay, President, and Rajivi Vahala, Treasurer, to reflect a change of address.
Nice job, Bruce.
Second.
That was really impressive, Ruth.
Maybe you can give Paul
Yeah,
lessons
yeah.
on name pronunciation.
That's good.
Mitch, obviously this is a formality that the board
Correct.
does, but everything is in order.
Everything is in order.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Next, on to a few outdoor displays. I'm just forwarding them. Is there a motion? Selectman Murphy?
Paul?
Oh, what do I got? Oh,
K10.
K10.
which one? Oh, right there. I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign an outdoor display renewal permit for what is it?
Artesanos.
Artesanos,
Artesanos.
33 Bearskin Neck for the 2018 season.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Further discussion. So can I was down there this weekend. I took some pictures that I can forward to Paul again.
Mhm.
But somebody's just has to go down there again. I can just, there are a bunch that have no permits. And it's just not fair to the people that do, obviously.
Yes, there's been
Okay.
actually very regular enforcement this time, and it seems to be every time he goes, something new pops up
Yeah.
down there. It's
Yeah,
a lot. So yes, please do forward that to Paul
okay.
When,
to review.
when somebody is in violation, what do we do?
Excuse me, they get a notice letter first and are told, take the display inside, go to the selectman's office and fill out an application for
And
the
then
process.
subsequently, what happens
They are
after
fined
that?
after
They're
that.
fine.
And how much is the fine?
$50.
I don't know the exact number off the
Used
top
to
of
be
my head.
25, and then it was 50.
It's actually been enough that in general they stop.
Once they get fined,
Yeah.
barring one or two individuals, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
It's enough to change behavior.
Usually, so far with these, I think it's been somewhat people who didn't, like new businesses who didn't realize that they.
Yes, there have been a lot of
Yeah.
new businesses on the neck this
Yeah,
year. One
there are,
particular
actually.
owner sold, and he and his wife owned 4 or 5 different shops.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that brought
Yeah.
a whole new batch of folks in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this next one's good. They had asked me, they're a new shop owner and asked me what to do. Okay. Any further discussion on this one?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, outdoor display.
Do you want to do them
Permit.
both together?
Sure.
Okay. Madam Chair.
Oh, because the last one was was one who have already.
Right,
had
I
it.
just
These
wanted
are
to
new.
make sure
Yeah,
that we
I
have to
guess
do them
it's okay.
separately.
Is it all right to do them
We can do them both
together?
It is,
together.
that's fine.
It's in one motion?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign outdoor display permits for Cedar Chest at 28 Bearskin Neck and Joe's Fresh Fish Prince of 55 Bearskin Neck for the 2018 season.
Second.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Oh, I see. I didn't upload the pictures before. So where Joe's Fresh Prince was is where we previously had a lot of issues because it was a
Correct.
clothing store. And they had like a huge rack on that side
side
porch with like dozens of items, which was kind of a struggle. So, yeah, the fish prints are cool. Okay. Are there questions or comment? Both of these look fine to me. Questions or comments from
I'm
the
good.
board? Okay. Any Ruth or Denise?
None.
Okay. Great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Great. Next, we have a live entertainment license for Brackett's Ocean View Restaurant and Brothers Brew Cafe.
I move that the board sign a live entertainment license for indoor entertainment for Brackett's Ocean View Restaurant and Brothers Brew Cafe, 25 Main Street, to expire on December 31st, 2018.
Seconded.
Motion has been made and seconded. Questions or comments?
So did we get details about what kind of,
Yeah, it's gonna be,
is it in here?
I believe it's in the pack.
I can't,
it's in the part, I
Yeah,
can remember
it's-
reading.
I couldn't get my
Application,
music
but not
to.
really
TV,
documented.
it's if they have musicians play at night. And
Just
then-
given the recent concerns, not
It-
that we should,
Yeah,
not,
and I
And,
don't
and it's
think-
all indoor.
It's all indoors.
so's the other one.
Yeah, I don't think you can hear anything
No,
out.
that one's
The,
outdoor.
the other one was out. The
Yeah, it's on the porch,
it's outside.
my place.
My place was outside.
Not my
No,
place.
no, the other
The
issue.
one that we're meeting on Friday.
Oh yes, yes. Okay.
Yeah. And I know the TV isn't supposed to be viewable from the street, right?
Correct.
Okay. And can you just make sure? I mean, there
Yes,
isn't-
and to my knowledge, it is not.
I don't see
Okay.
why Chuck would put a
No.
TV in the front window anyway, but,
Right.
okay,
Okay,
yeah.
great. Alrighty.
Okay, any further questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Next, we have common vittler's license for My Place by the Sea.
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign the common vittler's license for My Place by the Sea to expire on December 31st, 2018.
Second.
Okay, so, motion has been made and seconded. And, okay, any further questions on this one? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have hawker and peddler licenses, and these are all for the 4th of July parade. And these are, just to preface, vendors we've used before, that have come before and that have been okayed by the Firemen's Association.
Correct. These are their standard vendors.
Okay.
I move that the board approve and sign a one-day hawker and peddler licenses for Robert Orlando, Kendra Tolman, Vanessa Orlando, and Anthony Orlando to sell novelties and balloons at the July 4th, 2018 parade and bonfire with a rain date of July 7th, 2018.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
On another note,
Yeah.
do we know about restaurants?
I don't know, but
Yeah, I
Mitch,
was
can
just
we
gonna
send
ask that.
something out to restaurants?
We can. Yep, absolutely. Encouraging them to.
Yeah, or we, you know.
Sign it from us,
Yeah.
you know?
Sure, we can certainly encourage
Is
folks to,
everyone okay
to
with
stay
that?
open.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. On an additional note, I was.
House of
quick-
Pizza's not gonna be happy about it because they had a line out
Bill,
to 5
Bill will have a line of
I was
people
there
no
too.
matter what. But,
Not saying
you know,
that, it
what
was-
picture popped up on
what
my
is that?
phone. I'm glad to see the same hawkers and peddlers because the picture popped up on my phone. I'm not sure who was on the board. Was it 2 Christmases ago? The day of the tree lighting that I drove downtown and the huge sausage, sausage
Oh, I remember that,
fest
yeah.
Oh, yes.
trucks had set up in front of Dock Square in front of the tree lighting, and I honestly my heart just sank to my toes, and I think the police literally had to go down and remove them.
They did.
They didn't have a permit to be there, obviously. They were aggressive.
They were
I'll
quite
share that
aggressive. It
picture
took
with
a
you.
couple officers to say, okay, we're going to tow you or you're going to move.
Yeah,
So,
and they were all set. I think they were already cooking sausages. I mean, it smelled delicious, but not appropriate for the tree lighting. Okay, any further discussion on these?
Nothing
All those
says
in favor
Christmas
say
more than
aye.
sausage.
With a circus tent.
Right?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have street performer license for Zachary Moseri. Is he here, or did he have one before?
he had one previously.
Okay, right.
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign a street performer license for Zachary Moseri.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Gentlemen?
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, last but not least, year-end transfers.
Mitch, we have to have a discussion.
Did you get it again?
I always get it. I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and ask the chairperson to sign the
I used to only
following
get alcohol once,
transfers.
and I don't drink.
76 cents from assessor's purchase of services to assessor's stipends, $6,072.65 from legal fees to tax title legal fees, $1,500 from police professional resource materials allowance to traffic and parking meter maintenance, $20 from accounting purchase of services to Fund 30 Phase 3 Network Upgrade Article 6 ATM 4514. What is that?
The last one actually is to close out a very old manual entry error. So when we transitioned from Fundware to SoftWrite, they had to be keyed in, and it was a keystroke issue.
Okay.
Wow, interesting.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
I'll abstain.
Ruth will abstain. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes with one abstention. Great. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I
Oh, liaison
And
report.
administrator.
yeah, that's weird. How did,
I figured he was saving it. That's why I didn't say anything.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Mitch is gonna have his feelings hurt.
I know, but how did I do that? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's all right.
See, I put
Still here.
I put a
Sorry.
couple of lines here because I figured, that's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so sorry, two quick things and then we'll do our meeting. Town administrators updates, anything?
Nothing for this evening. Carry on. I'll just
Okay.
do later.
Any selectmen updates? You have your thing to read.
Yeah, I'm gonna do, I have that, and I was gonna read the letter that we're gonna be sending out, that way everybody's aware of it. So we have it, so we'll start with the exciting stuff. Selectman Campbell signed the payroll warrant number 52 totaling $115,637.98, and expense warrant number 52 totaling $507,715.99 on June 26, 2018. That's that, and I'll get that to Eileen. The next thing was, as we talked about at our, when we did the board reshuffling, and one of the things that I was given gladly, and I'm really happy to take this on, is an outreach to the other boards and commissions in town to get them involved and to get all of us singing off of the same sheet of music. Maybe even Nadia's, so it'll sound really nice tonight. And if we can do that, then I think we can really make some progress in the times that lie ahead of us. So if you'd indulge me for a minute, I'd like to read it so it's in public record and the people at home, the millions, as we like to say, will know what it says. Dated June 26, and this will go to each individual board and commission. In an effort to fully open the lines of communication, the Board of Selectmen would like to extend a sincere invitation to you and the Committee of Board goes here to join us in open session and talk about the work you're currently doing. We want to hear about the goals and objectives you have set and how the Board of Selectmen can help in your efforts. We'd like these meetings to be scheduled on a regular basis, perhaps twice a year, but you are more than welcome to join us more frequently if there are any urgent matters in between meetings that require immediate attention. Please know that the intention of these open dialogues is not to interfere in your great work or to micromanage you or your committee. Quite the contrary. The sole intention is to find ways to work together for the common good of the town we all love and to support the efforts of those who so willingly give of their time. We are seeking bold and creative ways to work together and collaborate on new, innovative ideas that will improve the quality of life for all that we serve. This can only be accomplished by a synergy of efforts, and this is our way of finding one new avenue to accomplish this goal. Further, we as a board are fully recommitting ourselves to be more active participants in your boards and committees. All selectmen are in agreement that we must provide the same effort of involvement and respect for opinions that we are asking for. We owe it to those we are so privileged to serve. To achieve the most efficient scheduling process, our office manager, Debbie Powers, will be in touch with you to secure the earliest possible dates to come in for 10 or 15 minutes and sit with us in open session. We will be scheduling your updates at the beginning of each meeting to make the most of your time, and we sincerely hope that you place this initiative as high on your priority list as we are placing it on ours. Please accept the board's sincere thanks for all that you do to make Rockport a better place. It does not go unnoticed, or more importantly, unappreciated. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
Excellent.
That's it.
Perfect.
Great.
So I hope that, that's my way of, our way, I'll say, of really reaching out and trying to bring everybody into the fold to make a difference here. So that will be going out. Debbie will be reaching out to schedule these, and we, like I said, we put them up at the beginning, that way they can come in, make the most of their time, and we
Great.
can really get a good flavor for everything.
And I think the nice thing about it is that all 5 of us are hearing the same message when they're coming, they're coming in front of us.
Yeah, do you think with the letter, Debbie could send a note, or like, I don't, however she's gonna send this, if it goes, that she could let them know who their new liaison is?
It'll be going in the same thing. There'll
Oh,
be another
perfect.
attachment
Okay,
with the list for
Great.
everybody to see.
Perfect.
That's outstanding.
So, and I'm not looking for accolades, but it's okay with everybody? Does
Perfect.
anybody
Great.
have any suggested changes or
No,
edits?
no.
Everybody's okay?
Nope.
Perfect.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go, move on to liaison in a second, but does any other selectmen updates?
I have a couple.
Go ahead, great.
Let's see, I got invited to the 8th grade Millbrook presentation panel. That was, Tom Mikas was there, and there were several other people. And the 8th graders all went down to Mill Pond and did a project, little groups of them, and they presented it on video. And they had all kinds of ideas of what to do, and everything about the running of how it the stream goes. And one group thought that we should take down the dam completely and open it and let it be natural. And it was very interesting. They did a great job, and it was all of the 8th grade kids did it. It was 2 presentations on the 18th, so it was very nice.
Okay.
Awesome.
Carson Riley called me the night before to invite me, so it was very nice.
Oh, cool.
And I went to the Thatcher Island annual meeting that same night, which was great. They do a great job, and they did a review of everything they've done over the year, Straight Smith and Thatcher's, and thanked everyone, and that was a great meeting.
I got there at the tail end of that one. And
Yeah.
it's, I wish I could have been there
Yeah.
sooner, but just I got there with a part where there's part of the light, I forget it was the north or south tower, that actually fell off.
Yeah, piece of
And
it,
they've got some
yeah.
stainless steel banding they're installing and stuff,
Yeah.
so it was really interesting to
Yeah,
see.
and all the grant money they've gotten, and all the thanks of
Wow.
CPC and all the different groups who've given money towards them, and all their workers and all their volunteers. It was great. I also went to the Mark Schmink reception from him graduating from the FBI Academy.
Yes.
That was great. Very nice presentation, and congratulations to Mark. And I also went and visited Ted Tarr. He's down at Denmark, so I brought him a note from the board
Thank you.
thanking him for his service and
great.
telling him to call us if there's anything we can do, and hopefully he'll be home hopefully soon.
Great.
So
Nice
that was
of
my
you.
little group.
Speaking of Thatcher's Island, we used to go out there once and have like a
Yeah.
tour of that. Maybe I'd love to
Yeah,
get out to.
I'd love
It
to
got-
go out
it got
there.
canceled
Yeah.
the last time.
Yeah, because of weather. Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, it was weather or they
Yeah.
had,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
they were overbooked for what they had, which is
Yeah.
a great problem
I've
to
been to a bunch.
have.
I've camped. Have you camped out there ever?
Yes, I have. I actually stayed in the house. They used to rent it out. I think they only did that for 2 years. I stayed
Gus
there.
was the light keeper out
Yeah.
there. He was the assistant light keeper one summer. It was awesome. He
Yeah.
went out for a week. Yeah, it was great.
Dr. Wedmore would like the board, we'll be looking to schedule a Saturday
Great.
trip
Wow.
out to
Love.
both. They want to show
You want to do both?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see.
Yeah.
Love
That would be
to.
great.
I love going out there.
Yeah, I'd love to.
And then I noticed we got an Eagle Court of Honor invitation.
Yes.
I emailed Debbie back that there's a chance I'm away that weekend, so maybe we can just keep going on email, that hopefully somebody can.
I'm right now
Represent us?
planning to attend.
Okay.
Great.
The only thing that might come up is if I have to go see my mom. So
Okay.
right now I'm planning to go.
Okay.
It's
I
my
can't-
daughter's birthday. Oh, I'm sorry, Ruthie, go ahead.
No, I work every Sunday till 8
Okay,
PM, so.
great.
It's my daughter's birthday, so depending upon what the newly formed teenager is going to be
Okay.
hitting 13, she'll dictate my day to me.
Might be at a
so.
spa for the
Yeah,
day.
Doesn't
exactly.
want you around.
I might be getting my hair
Sorry.
done that day or something. You never know.
And if for some reason the board isn't able to make it, we will certainly have them come in
Yeah.
to present.
Perfect.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
So they'll be
that's
covered
great.
away.
Okay. And
I'm
if
gonna really
not-
try to make it.
If I'm not away, I'll attend.
Excellent.
Great. Okay. Any other updates?
I was otherwise occupied.
Great. Okay, next on to the board liaison assignment. So there's no motion for that, right?
There is not. It's simply a
Okay.
consensus when the board's ready.
Yeah, so I can go down the list. Maybe it makes sense to first go down kind of the row, and if anyone has any issues, to kind of bring up any issues, and then I'll read the final list out loud. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. Ruth, did you have any issues with any of the ones you're?
None.
Mitch just kind of went through and tried to.
I did a quick shuffle.
You
Certainly
did a
if the
quick
board has
shuffle.
something that
Yeah.
they'd like, we can always adjust.
So you're good with the list
I'm good.
given.
Yep.
Okay, Denise, did you have any?
No.
So my only issue is, I
Well, I
don't
have
think I
no
can
regard.
handle zoning board of appeals with FinCom and school.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna try to get to more FinCom, and I'm gonna try to attend some more evening meetings, but I know ZBA, sometimes they go really late, so I'm
They
not
do.
sure.
What day of the week do they meet?
Tuesdays.
Oh,
Well, they're
Tu-
Wednesdays, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah.
are they
It used to be
Wednesdays
Tuesday.
now?
I think they bumped, a couple of years ago, they bumped them to
Okay.
Wednesday.
I mean, I'm happy to be the liaison, I just won't get to many of their meetings, but unless if
Board's
somebody
preference
else
would be-
wants it.
can we share it?
Sure.
I'll share it with you.
Yeah, and I mean, you know,
Yeah.
if there's something pressing, they can
Yeah.
let us know, and we
Yeah.
can, one of us can try to be there.
Because the Concom meets on
Unless either of you wants it.
Wednesdays.
No, well, I have planning, so
Okay.
I'll, that's okay, I
That's
can
gonna
take
be a
that.
lot,
Yeah,
yeah.
the only other one that I wanted to, it's a tough one because, once you finish, and then I can get, we can.
No, no, that was it. I was
Are-
just
are you
saying
good?
it's free for the taking if someone else would rather, but.
Right, no. The only other one was the Economic Development Committee. I know that's on Ruthie, but that's a tough one because they do meet on Tuesdays. Unless I asked them, you know, because I got that this time and I never attended because I couldn't.
Yeah, whatever the,
you want?
Yeah,
we
I
can
do it.
certainly.
I'm around during the day on Tuesday. Is it daytime?
No, it's,
Evenings?
It's evenings, so I
Okay,
think.
I'm around, I mean, it doesn't matter.
One of the conversations that we'll have with some of the committees that are on Tuesday would be if there's some way to work with the board on the off week.
Yeah.
If they could,
Yeah.
you know, a month
Yeah.
or two,
Right.
adjust to an off
Yeah,
week.
because I actually had someone
Right.
argue with me once that we should skip a selectmen's meeting to go to there, and I was like, we can't.
No.
It just doesn't work.
No.
I'm sorry.
And I think when we have them rotating in here, that's going to help too.
That'll help, yeah.
Greatly.
so do you want to stay with that, Ruthie? Is that one that you'd like to keep? It's okay, whatever you'd like.
I'll keep it, just so I can learn some of the different committees, I guess.
Sure.
And if you want to go.
Yeah,
to
I'll
Yeah,
it,
if
just
you
jump
want to
in
just
if
do
we
it
can.
too,
Yeah,
he
that's
can
fine.
go
Yeah.
whenever he
Yeah.
wants, but you
Yeah.
stay as the liaison.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
that's a committee that needs a little guidance right now, and I
Yeah.
think the selectmen could really help
I
out in
actually
that
think the
regard.
more of us, the better. Like maybe if
Yeah.
they did it on an off night, more of us could even
Mhm.
go. Okay, Paul, did you have any issues with any others, Don?
No,
You're good?
I think everything else, Memorial, Thatcher, I like that one. No, I'm good.
Okay, Paul.
No, I'm fine. I usually do public safety in schools, which is, it's good to change it up, so I'm fine with my assignments.
Okay.
I think the way we were looking at this year was if it wasn't an actual board or committee, then there wouldn't be an assigned liaison to it. These are just everything.
Right,
So-
because they're really
so
accountable, like
police,
they really
fire-
come to the
right.
whole board, exactly.
Which the only, let me see. Just want to make sure I didn't miss it. The Board of Fire Engineers,
Correct, I did not put that one on there. That one functions much more as an operational
As a
Yeah.
department.
department.
Yeah.
So that is the single exclusion from
Okay.
that list.
No, that looks fine to me.
yep, no, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good with what I have.
And, Paul, maybe you can help me with schools. I think we've kind of tag teamed that in the
Sure.
past.
Yep,
Okay.
be happy
So,
to.
Should I'll just read down the list.
Yeah, okay.
So Finance Committee, Sarah.
Sarah, who? No.
Board of Assessors, Denise. School Committee, Sarah, Paul. Government Bylaw Committee, Sarah. And that's legally, right? That one's not. Harbor Advisory Committee, Paul. Conservation Commission, Denise. Planning Board, Dawn. Zoning Board, Sarah, Denise. Donnelly. DPW Commissioners, Ruth. Rights of Way Committee, Denise. Economic Development, Ruth. Council on Aging, Denise. You weren't Council on Aging before, were
Yeah.
you? You were?
Yeah.
Okay. Millbrook Meadow Committee, Dawn. Board of Health, Ruth. Board of Library Trustees, Paul. Historical Commission, Denise. Beautification Committee, Paul. Community Preservation Committee, Ruth. That's fitting. Cultural Council, Dawn. Granite Pier Committee, Paul. Green Communities, Denise. Memorial Day Committee, Dawn. Open Space and Recreation, Paul. Thatcher and Strait Smith Islands, Dawn. Town Art Committee, Ruth. Capital Improvement Planning Committee, and we have two designated members of that, Denise and Ruth. Great. It's like, that is the best way to kind of learn
Yeah,
the
yeah,
capital.
yeah.
It's like, it's like being thrown into a hot fire.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Okay, so that sounds good to everybody? Great, so you guys will, obviously clean up the list and then send it out with Don's letter?
Correct, it'll be attached with the letter.
That sounds great. Perfect.
Chairman,
Yep, question?
yes, a request. Will you appoint a liaison to the Addison Gilbert Hospital?
I'll volunteer for that.
Great,
That's your wheelhouse.
Yes.
great. Ruth has just done that. Okay, is that it? I think that's it. Okay, I have to just use the bathroom. Can we take a 2-minute break and then have Jim, and I know Tom is still here, if you, whoever wants to join us from Historic up at the table? Great. Let's take a 2-minute break. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm just having like microphone issues. Will you try? I think it's my.
You got it.
I got it. I think it's my fingers. Okay, welcome. Do you want to? I know that Tom didn't.
Yeah,
Wanna-
Tom's here, so I asked him to join me.
Great.
He's my moral support. I think we might be the maiden voyage of this presentation by a commission or a committee or a
Believe
board.
so. We can just hang you the letter.
Yeah.
You got it, right? There you go.
I actually heard
Save the
Don talk
postage.
about it at Conversations with Campbell. I said, good, sign me up. And,
There you go.
He
Great.
did. And I think it's very helpful. But I also, it's not typically my style, but in the essence of time, because I think these could take a drift, I thought I'd try writing something and just presenting the information. And I've timed it. It's only a few minutes of reading. And then that may leave a little bit of time for some questions if we're trying to stay in that 10 or 15-minute slot.
Perfect.
Just as a shakedown cruise or something like that.
Great.
So thank you for allowing me as the chairman to give you a brief update on the state of affairs with the Rockport Historical Commission. I believe reporting in this fashion helps the selectmen develop a central understanding of the activities each committee or commissions are involved with. For example, in the planning board's most recent effort to survey townsfolk, preserving character and charm was ranked second, only behind, I believe, our schools as the most valuable resources. And our goal as the commission closely aligns with their findings. So I'm just giving you a little bit of integration that you have between two committees that are working independently, but perhaps even in the same direction. The commission has been largely focused on 4 key objectives since I have been chair. The first objective is better awareness and communication with property owners, contractors, and realtors. And to do so, we've had to undertake the following steps. For the first time in memory, we had a comprehensive presence in our annual town report, which described much of what I am presenting to you tonight. Been a lot of years since we had done that, and I know Debbie was happy to have some input from the historic back into the town report. We crafted an important document entitled A Message to Prospective Buyers and a Reminder to Those Who Own Property in Rockport's Historic District. So this was an effort to try to write about what it means to own property in the district or consider owning property in the district. I've attempted to get this to realtors, and we've included this now in the application. So this is just a good overview that if you're thinking of moving into the district, some considerations that make it a unique decision. You don't have to read that now, but I thought you'd like to take a look at it. It's important. I've presented challenging thought regarding the role and importance of the Historical Commission in meetings of other related committees, and I've personally attended Economic Development and the Planning Board. I have reached out to the Sandy Bay Historical Society asking for consideration in a member recommendation. Now, our bylaws talk about who should be on the membership, and I'll talk about that in a moment. We have reached out to the building inspector seeking ways to make him more aware of our progress and engage he and his role in the permitting process to our efforts. We have begun the process of identifying those streets that lie in the districts with a different color street sign and will request from you to disperse funds from the Mason Trust and help from the DPW to do so. So those are 4 initiatives that we're trying to bring more awareness to residents that where the historic districts are, what it means to think about buying a home in the districts or living in the districts, and other fashion to make people updated and more aware of the fact that we have them, and it's a big deal if you live in them what that means if you have plans for changing your home, expanding, or otherwise. The second objective was improved access and storage to all of our documents and records, past and present. We have rebuilt our own town webpage where we now upload almost all the material we are required to review, organized by year, title, and name. Google Docs hasn't been friendly, and the efforts of Paul Woodbury can't be overstated. If you haven't visited the site, I hope you will. Storage and easy retrieval make our process more transparent and in compliance with MGL. So if you haven't taken a look at the site, it's pretty impressive. We have everything now for 6 years back that you can just get your fingertips on. Read a decision, read a letter submitted by a resident, any other supportive documents, changes to plans. It's all there. It all gets uploaded. I hope it works long-term, that we're experimenting in this fashion, going digital the way we are.
Yeah.
But it's almost an impossibility to try to hold on to paper records with all of this.
That's a big deal.
It's a huge
That's a good
deal.
job. Yeah, that's a big deal.
It's absolutely intense, and it's taken us, Mitch, 3 years, I think we've been
Yeah.
working on it now, so. Third objective was to improve understanding of our rules, regulations, and guidelines to help the commission maintain uniformity and consistency whenever possible in their decision-making responsibilities and any efforts to accommodate property owners to achieve their respective goals. To do so, we needed to meet with town council and our now town administrator, seeking guidance as needed to modernize our process and remain consistent with our bylaws and Mass General Law, Chapter 40C. So we are governed by Mass General Law, and that's our compass when we make any of our decisions, along with our bylaws and our unique town and our efforts to preserve the character and charm we have. We reviewed more than 25 years of town meeting minutes to become certain that our list of exemptions from commission jurisdictions was accurate. I know that sounds like we should know what we have jurisdiction over or not, but we just wanted to make sure. And so we've gone through all of those records with the help of Pat Brown. We review, clarify, and simplify the application process, rules and regulations, and guidelines. We are just finishing our last editing of the guidelines, though work remains with fine-tuning elements of Chapter 40A and the inclusion of solar panels in a historic district.
So, may I ask, so you are going to allow solar panels?
What Massachusetts general law, we allow solar panels now. We just don't, you know what? Let me finish reading this,
Okay, sorry.
because this is the
Sorry,
granular
question.
nature of the
Okay.
questions that are so intense that they can definitely skate beyond 10 minutes. But I will definitely tell you where we stand with that and where we need to go, I think, with that. Once clearly understood, it is our job to then apply the rules and regulations as consistently and uniformly as possible to a town that is very unique in the sense that we have two forms of public way, the streetscape and the waterscape. As a community, we have evolved into primarily preserving historical appearance and, when possible, historic materials, particularly in significant homes. We do have rules and regulations, and unless we follow them, we are likely doing more harm than good to the well-being of the town and the reputation of the commission. Fourth objective, improve the composition of the membership of the commission to reflect as best we can the recommendations of our town's bylaws. Currently, the commission is comprised of district residents, a member who has built several homes and who himself has owned many homes as rental properties, including the Hull House, a member who maintains his realtor's license, and a retired registered architect and member with previous historic commission experience. I'm being optimistic here, but we have encouraging discussions with a gentleman referred to us by Sandy Bay Historic, which is a requirement in the bylaws, who, if he joins, brings a savvy understanding of town government and accommodation as a past mayor of Gloucester, city auditor for Newburyport, and the Massachusetts Assistant State Secretary. Other related updates include unsuccessful efforts to locate through RFP a historical preservationist to undertake the next step of expanding the downtown district to include Bearskin Neck and the north side of Atlantic Ave. That's an important point, and I'll talk to you about it if you have questions. Lastly, we believe the Historical Commission should be once again divided into two respective entities. One that deals with district-related changes to properties, such as we do now, and the other to be responsible for other efforts of historic preservation, such as preserving the freight crane, restoring old gravestones paired with deed research,
and memorializing the Hannah Jumper event with interpretive signage, to just name a few. Our intent to recently expand the membership to 7 still cannot address all these other efforts. It was a failed mission on my part. I thought if we just got to 7, we would have enough people and enough time to even handle things like this, and we just don't. What I do want to point out, if you want to take some notes of these, just to go around, and just in the accomplishment in the last couple of years, are some projects I think you'd be very happy with and maybe proud. One right now that's being finished up is on Hale Street, 8 Hale. If you go up, take the left onto Hale and come halfway down, and it's a big federal that was split into 2 homes. A comprehensive project, massive, massive undertaking. It was completely unhistoric, and the owner has worked well with us, and I think you'd be very pleased with the way the house is coming out. Quite remarkable, actually, in its renovations. One Atlantic Ave, Arnold Knath's old house at the corner of Mount Pleasant and Atlantic. If you haven't seen it, take a look. It's coming along, I think, beautifully. The Hannah Jumper home, and also the efforts with the Hannah Jumper to preserve the bones of the property. We saved every piece of that structure internally, and he took the time to raise it. And there are, you learn from each. You're not perfect, but you learn from each project. But he's been incredibly accommodative, and I think he would say the same about us. Another unbelievable historic effort is 28 Mount Pleasant Street. If you're going up Mount Pleasant, just a few hundred yards up on the right, the big, beautiful federal now. I mean, that's an amazing restoration project that really retains that scenic vista and historic vista as you're coming down from south to Mount Pleasant. And then look at those 3 or 4 homes in a line with Hannah Jumper, 1 Atlantic Ave, across the street with the Hurley's house. All beautiful homes that have maintained respect to our charge to maintain a historic appearance. Also, the Feather and Wedge, and then a controversial project that we think came out pretty well now that they're finished, painted up, is halfway down Broadway, almost across from the fire station, is an expansion of that condo unit. It's 46B, and it's white with black window sashes and Italianate bay windows on the edge. You'll have to see it. It's got a red brick foundation underneath. But anyway, those are all addresses for you to take a look at and see how much work it is. One of the things that was remarkable to me, and Paul Woodbury pointed it out to me today, that last year, on average, we're processing 40 applications, many of which take more than 6 to 8 hours to process. I mean, I think we're doing this more than any other.
Would say 40?
40. I think we're going to be there this year as well. So I have to say, kudos to Mitch Vieira for really helping us. He's been supportive, connecting us to town council when we need that help, and some other very complicated matters that his guidance and wisdom have been very, very helpful. So I think that's just about it. I know, Tom, I don't mean to, I'll give you some upcoming events, though, that are going to be right up there. So if you do want to come, Denise, this is probably when they'll be there. We have a brand-new home going built. Who figures that we had some open land in downtown district? But there's a lot up by Jordan's Lane. Just before you get to Jordan's on the right, there's a hill with a fence, a very narrow lot. There's a new home going up there. So, of course, that's going to have to be integrated into the historic district, and he's a wonderful applicant so far. I think he really appreciates our help as well.
We just got the preliminary plans for it, and it looks like he's really on the right page with it.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Great.
Toad Hall, Old Granite Savings Bank, is going to be, it's been purchased, and there's going to be an application in for significant modifications to it. Now, there's not much you can do with it, but I'll hold the surprise, but you'll see how they go. But if you're interested, you'll just have to come to the meetings.
Is it going to be resident?
I can't tell you, I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, yes, yeah, it is.
It is all residential.
Yeah. So also, we are waiting for a application on the 9 Dock Square. I don't want to even discuss it. I've learned from this that, until we have an application in front of us and we know what it's going to look like, it just makes no sense to get nerved up or anything else that's there. And honestly, I have so much on my plate and it's so complicated. I've got to wait till it's in front of me, and we'll, as a commission, mindfully and thoughtfully approach a complicated question. So we'll leave it at
Do you have
that.
any involvement with the new rotary going into the Five Corners? I'm just curious. I just wanted to
Just
make
want it
sure.
historic.
Does it need any historical? Do we have to have a horse turnaround in there or something? I
Yeah.
just wasn't sure.
Yeah.
So frustrating.
Oh, my God.
A couple other, real quick things if you want to know about them. I put a question to Mitch, and you guys should think about this too as selectmen. If you go up past Jordan Lanes, 30 feet beyond the entrance, is an incredibly old piece of granite sculpture, which was a horse trough.
Yep.
That's there, and I'm a little nervous for it up there. A, to get stolen because it's not that big, and B, it's a magnet for a snowplow. And but it's also been there for a long time, so it's a challenging question. However, would it serve a better purpose being in Millbrook Meadow or when we do Harvey Park over with a nice plaque? I mean, it's an exquisite piece of carved
It is,
granite.
I know exactly what you're
You
talking
know, and I don't mind it.
Millbrook about
I don't.
that?
Tom, me, I don't care one way or another. But I'm pointing out that it may serve a better purpose, being seen by more people.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm asking.
And Barletta Park would be awesome because the bottom half can be a dog watering.
Jim, talk to me after about that, and we'll see. We'll
Sure,
talk to
sure.
Sam and see if maybe there's a place for it there.
Yep.
Maybe
So
they
I
can
hope
go
this
up
is the flavor of the kind of update that you're looking for. I would suggest that if you had ways in which you could help us, I know Mitch is working on getting us some administrative help. We do this with $0 and no help. And,
You're overpaid.
yeah,
Nice
the price is right. Here's another big request. If you could all, I think it would be incredibly conducive to have our meetings at the annex, even if we have to change our evening, and some of the stored records, because we too have to have large rolls of paper records as well, and that would be a wonderful place to have our meetings and have our record storage rather than in back of here.
Where are you meeting now, Jim?
We're meeting upstairs in the library, which we don't have any of those functions. I love the library. I think it's great, but it probably makes more sense to be in the annex.
Well, it goes through
That's,
DPW,
that's
right?
something that, it depends on, you may have to
Availability.
adjust your evening a
Yeah,
bit, but
yep.
that's certainly doable.
Yeah, if we look at the calendar, I think it
Yep.
may make sense. So the signage for the area, for the town, the Mason Trust, it was some monies that were donated to the town for the purpose of historic preservation. It's about $6,000, I believe, in interest there. We looked at about $3,000 to put all the streets that are in the historic district, so people know where, I didn't even know I lived in a historic district. Well, we can start by putting a different color street sign with the word historic district, as you see in almost every other town that has historic districts. It's not an uncommon practice.
Oh, that's true.
Yep.
Um,
Go ahead.
And I was just gonna ask if Tom had anything
Yeah,
to add before
thank
we
you.
ask questions.
Much covered it all. We've got our plate full. And since Jim has come on, we've stepped up our game a bit, which I think is a really good thing. We needed to. And he's provided some fresh insight into where he thinks we need to go and moving forward.
It's a very, very tough commission. I will tell you, I've gone as a guest to all of them out there, and God love every volunteer in this town. This decision is talking to people about what they can't or can do with their own property. It's really, really hard. I mean, we deal with raw emotions, and we've been able to, on large and by and large, we have more thank you notes than we've ever received from homeowners that help us, that believe that we're helping them craft a project that works in town. You've probably heard about this, I'm not sure if you have, but if you haven't, I'll tell you that there is an initiative to remove satellite dishes in the historic district.
Yeah, I think
And-
we wanted to chat about
We
that a
actually had
little
some
bit.
questions.
Yeah.
Fair enough, I'll let that. So I'm done speaking. You can go, if you have, you're good? Tom's been fantastic. His mom's been ill, so he's been out, but, we really have a good membership right now. We have a good, and having a registered architect, who's unreal, she's very, very good.
Great.
Can I?
Sure.
Denise, did you have something?
Go for it. I'll
Okay.
go after you.
Couple things. What's been how's the cooperation been as far as people who apply and things that you suggest? Are people pretty much very receptive to that, and they're having the foresight of knowing what you're expecting out of it? Does it make the process easier, or is there some pushback on that, or?
Yeah, so, it's taken, going into my fourth year on the commission, to be able to answer you in a total comprehensive way in which recognizes what you're asking. Because you think that's an easy question. and it isn't, because every single project that comes in front of you oftentimes has a one-off that requires people to think of, someone else got to do this, you have it on your house, all the human things that happen with that. So to answer your question directly, is that by and large, I would say 95% of our applications we work through. They're not easy, but we get through, and everybody's cooperative and everybody's excited when it's over. And then as long as they stick to their plans, we're okay. So to give you an idea, in the past, and I'm not, you know, this is an interesting approach to talking about this candidly, et cetera, in that every previous person who served as a member of this commission was a volunteer and worked with what they had in front of them, the time in which they were on the commission and the decisions they had to make. So whenever you look back at what was done, it doesn't do any good. It just produces negative energy to say they allowed this or they allowed that. What I did find out interesting is precedent isn't set by what a previous commission or board thought or did. It can actually only be set by law. So this commission now has a perspective of understanding the rules, take us all the time to understand the rules and regulations and what is it we're actually supposed to do, and then try to integrate that with accommodating the needs of property owners. To answer your question, there are certain examples. We had a very hotly, to give you a simple scenarios, we had a very hot meeting last week with a contractor who represented an owner who wanted to put complete composite man-made clapboards, which at one time we did approve, and we said no to this because of what we've learned from that in terms of the difference. Now, where it's very, very dicey, and this will come right to the point, is that it's a subjective interpretation by human beings, the 7 members of this commission, to determine the public view. You think it's easy. It isn't. It's always a question, and how much of a view? In other words, if you have an alley that can be seen from Broadway or one of the streets in the district, but you only have what I refer to as limited view, we give a lot of leeway. We will allow limited view, lots of leeway to use, for example, manufactured wood, of which Nantucket, Salem, Newburyport, forget about historic Williamsburg. Okay, they make you put everything back. We're not like that. This town accepts man-made composite wood, but what we try to do is what is exactly on the streetscape, we try to remain with materials that are more historic in mind. And one other thing that's changed a little bit on there is that we're eating our own cooking. I belong in a building of which was all cement board, and here I am as the chairman of the Historic Commission. That's all coming off in 2 weeks. It's a $40,000 project. So don't. By the way, it's not my place. I was one member of a 3-person condo.
But that's by choice.
That's by choice.
Because it doesn't hold up.
Right, right. Not because,
It's interesting.
not because all of a
It
sudden
is,
it's not
but you also have the right in this town to put up the like-kind material. So if I had cement board, I could use modern-day cement board.
You said something.
not,
You said something a minute ago that I found really interesting that I didn't know. That the precedent is not set by past decisions of the board. It's all so it doesn't matter what came out of a board decision. That's irrelevant. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I
It's
was
only
enlightened by
based
that
on-
by Tom Meekus at a meeting and pointed that out to us. And I haven't had a chance to research the foundation of that, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seems like a big can of worms there too
It
that
was-
could be opened up.
Well, was
Could
that
be.
was that a consensus on the commission to?
No, the consensus for the commission right now is that we have rules and regulations, and our job is to follow them. And if we don't want them, change them. The town needs to make those decisions, not this board. So to give you another example, we had a very challenging meeting on solar panels. The
Yeah.
very first application we had solar panels on a house, Cape-style house, roof, gable roof. 50% of looking at the home is a roof. It's an important part of the presentation of the home. The entire roof the application was to, and I have a low carbon footprint, okay? I have an electric car and a diesel car. Believe me, it's not a personal decision here. But the entire roof would have had a presentation of solar panels completely and 100% in the view from both Broadway and Cleve Street, 2 public ways. It would have set the precedent to essentially say solar panels would be allowed 100% in view on every single building or residence in the historic district. And though that's a low probability, I cannot go into a decision like that thinking that every single person in the district has the right to do it. So the satellite, segue into the satellite decision.
So wait, so what happened with the solar panels?
So the solar panels, we said no to.
Okay, so was that a unanimous? I'm
That was a
curious.
unanimous decision, and one of the members of the board, by the way, received the same vote when he applied for solar panels 10 years ago.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess, and we can segue into the solar panels, but this is where I'm struggling a little bit, because as we're trying to get, younger people with kids to move here, houses are being renovated, it's a struggle, right? Like, we bought our house 4 years ago. It's in the, south end. We have a good facing roof. We put solar hot water panels on. And frankly, it's one of the things that's going to make it so it's affordable for us to stay in our house. And I think that more as, energy efficient things happen, like, are we trying to find middle ground, or so that's where I just want to know, kind of the intent. Or are these discussions that the town should be having again?
Could be.
We're not saying unilaterally no to solar panels.
Okay.
If the roof faced a way that they could put the solar panels on, south or west facing, but it isn't on the street facade, I think we would, as a
wouldn't be
board,
any
we'd
problem.
probably say that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
But if you have a house that is small to begin with, which is what this one was, it's like a half cape, I believe, and very close to the street, and a very large roof that you could really see, and it would just completely change the entire look of this
But it
old
also sets a
historic
very
house.
important precedent,
Yeah.
because if you did say yes to this particular project,
Yeah.
then once again, you've got to close your eyes.
You
And
just said in
you just
your
said
opinion
that's
that
what I'm
preference
saying.
doesn't matter.
No, I mean in terms of a decision from previous boards.
Right.
When I said when a decision was made 10 years ago.
Do you feel that a decision by your board sets a precedent for your board?
I think for while I'm sitting on a board, if we hold this particular independent decision, this isn't a uniform answer.
Yeah.
In this particular decision, if we allowed solar panels, I don't know how we could tell someone else they couldn't.
Okay.
We talked about state law. Does state law have?
So
do they
chapter
chime in on-
40A, we're 40C, chapter 40A says you have to allow solar panels even in a historic district. Our guidelines currently do, but we have to find a way to think of it to say not every home may be able to have them, but there'll be potentially certain homes that could, where it doesn't become the dominant feature, for example,
Wait,
in
so
the public
if
view.
state law says that they're allowed, how
are
are
you
you
allowed
getting
to-
around it?
It doesn't say that they're allowed. It says that you have to be respectful in consideration of having them. So, in other words, our rules right now, and this may be hard to enforce, but in our guidelines as we consider them, and I'm not saying we do this, but these are the
Yeah,
types of things.
yeah.
What if we said you can't see 49% of them? Any house that we can see only half of them,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Here's another consider. We actually have some, Nantucket is famous. I looked at more than 15 towns and visited 6, okay, to see solar panels, Manchester in particular. It's close enough and had a great job. Nantucket deals with it on a monthly basis,
Yeah.
everyone down there. So we have a real solid understanding of solar panels in a historic district, what certain towns allow and what they don't. Having said that, another example is a public way. If all of a sudden you put solar panels on a house and we think that they're going to be on Broadway, but they can be seen by Parker Street, that's a public way. But my argument when we discuss this at the commission level is it's not being seen by the street that's in the district. But we have to be careful now so that isn't interpreted for other aspects and element of so a home application. So we would have to see, can we allow that? Because now all of a sudden, houses on Broadway Street, the backside of them faces the sun, and we don't see them from Broadway. Would the people from Parker Street be upset? I don't know.
I mean, honestly, I think this is probably like a more extended discussion for another evening, because I think we're now approaching issues that the town needs to really be involved in
Exactly.
in the discussion of, because, it could be that townspeople are so pro solar energy that things change in here, especially if it's okay in state law. You know what I mean? I don't
It
wanna,
is.
so it's interesting.
It is, and the same with satellite dishes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was just gonna go there, so go ahead,
Right.
Chair.
So in satellite dishes, for example, It isn't though we live in Wyoming and you can't get cable. You know, people have an option for cable in town, but if we
Right, but
think
that's
of,
not our, that's not our decision.
no, it isn't.
Value
Right.
judgment.
No, but when you come into a hardship decision. So for us, we're placed with, maybe we can't get cable. Maybe we can't afford cable.
Right.
Okay? So we've had to listen to each and every resident
Well,
in their
yeah.
position.
I mean,
on-
this is my issue, and I've actually received several complaints
Yeah,
about this.
I have
the
too.
Satellite dishes.
Yeah.
Is that people who have had satellite dishes for like 10 years are getting like threatening letters, and they're all of a sudden like, you know, are you serious? Like, you know, it's just like just it doesn't seem to be in the spirit of, you know, of people applying it. It just seems weird that someone would have something for 10 years and all of a sudden we're going after them for it.
And,
Yeah.
and the case that I heard about really kind of mirrored something you said earlier about composite materials. The satellite disc that I heard about is barely visible from the street. You really have to look for it. Like you have to kind of go over the side and go like this. And they were baffled as to why suddenly this is an issue. After having
When the people received the letter, first of all, there was some overlap with a date. We changed the letter to give people plenty of time to make a decision what to do. Many of the satellite dishes were not even being used, or they were being put up by tenants. So we had that response. We had overwhelmingly good response to remove many of them that in a home that was built in 1750, and to 3 feet of the front door is a 2-foot satellite dish. So the letters went out, and we did have some people who called with concerns about it. And I took the time to meet with them, several of them, and figure out where else could it go. Could it go into an area that's seen from another public way? We just had a 96-year-old woman that I helped and told her that I would help her understand how to use cable. We actually moved the dish to another area of the house that you now can see from another public way, but only if you're doing this. Anyone who has a place that they have to locate it that might be in limited view, that would be something they should be coming to us and talking to us about.
Yeah.
To get back to one of the questions or one of the comments that you had, if somebody's had something for 10 years, these have been in our bylaws. It's the description of antennas and et cetera, and if they have one and it's in the disc and it has not been applied for,
Yeah.
so they never came to the board
Yeah,
and said,
I
"Oh, we're going to
understand
put in the
that. Me too.
satellite dish."
But I think it was more, it was that, plus the fact that it was barely visible, and it is subjective.
The barely
Can I-
visible
can I
ones
just
would be.
finish, Jim?
Yeah.
And it was also the tone of the letter and the fact that it wasn't just a mistake with the date, it was a whole month that had gone by. The date of the letter said you have 60 days, but they really had 30 by the time they got the letter. So it was just sort of this feeling of like, what's going on and why all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Well, and I think part of it is that we just had a town meeting and, you know, discussed a budget, and we have shrinking school, you know, we're battling shrinking school enrollment. We're trying to get this affordable housing off the ground. We're trying to like lure people and welcome people here, and people who have lived here, and, you know, frankly, like the people who reached out to me are, you know, people with young kids, and then they get a letter that is just, it was reminiscent of like what I think letters like a couple decades ago were, you know what I mean? And it just wasn't, I think it was more the tone of the letter in a, oh my God, somebody's walking around like looking at our route, you know what I mean? Like nobody's noticed this in 10 years. Like maybe the approach is, hey, these are the things that have never been, you know, we've never looked like, never, what's the word, gone after people for, like, should we rethink these? Like, I guess we're at that point with the solar panels now, because I really think we want to like work with people, and, you know, we want people to stay here and love living here, and, you know, and I think a lot of, obviously, like, the vast majority of the work you guys are doing is excellent. I mean, obviously, and it's keeping my mom was next door to that house at Mount Pleasant. She lives in a house that was renovated, and it's like exquisite, the 28 Mount Pleasant Street house. But, you know, the flip side is just finding a balance that, you know, that modern technology and solar panels and all of this new technology, like, does fit in here somewhere. We just have to figure out where, without sending people letters that make them feel like
So
they're
I,
being screamed at.
if you don't mind,
Yeah, yeah.
okay? So there seems to be some connection between solar panels and satellite dishes, when in fact, I don't believe there is. I don't think it's the same variables to consider. The letter, I don't know if you've actually read it, but.
Yeah, we got it.
So,
We got
and
a
then
copy.
did you read the follow-up letter, which clarified
no,
the
I
date?
don't think we got
So
the
they've,
full
everyone received the follow-up letter, which
Okay.
then gave them 60 days beyond July 1st.
Okay, so the
So it
date thing
actually
was
extended
cleared up.
120 days
Okay.
for some people. So they received that, and with that is, please come in and talk to us about your situation. Many people, it said, if you would like to take it down, you need to take it down. You have 60 days to remove it, or you have 30 days to come in and talk about it. So that's
So how many letters went out? Just curious.
I want to say 35.
Wow.
Somewhere along that line. And most people responded, and those who had trouble with that, we have to deal with. But they should come in and talk to us, and then we can try to decide what makes the most
Yeah,
sense.
so I feel like before we, you know, and I know it's awkward because we're on this side and you guys are over there, but before the town like spends money and takes legal action against, you know, people who have been living here and some people who have had, you know, maybe there are people who have had them up for years. I just feel like there might be more.
So let
discussion that
me
needs to
give you
happen.
another example.
Yeah.
We have someone who just signed a contract for 2 years. I said, fine, we'll see you in 2 years. We have another person who's leaving their apartment. He's the tenant that's there, and it's on their house, but he's leaving in March. I said, fine, we'll see you in March. I mean, we have been really accommodative to help
Yeah.
everyone.
Just
in-
been
Yeah.
the process.
We actually
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
all the math for someone, helped with a woman who was a little deficient on Mount Pleasant with all of the math to say, wait a minute, I'm saving money with cable.
Yeah.
So then I told her, they got a teaser rate. I tried to go with Mitch to get a contact at Comcast to get us a rate break.
Yeah,
for
good
the
luck with
historic.
that.
We didn't, but I did say that I would write a letter in behalf of this woman to Comcast to say that the reason she had a switch was because she was in the historic district, and that could they please extend the 2-year teaser rate when it renews.
Yeah.
I mean, I know.
I mean, clearly you're going above and beyond. I just think, and the only reason I connected to the solar panels is that it's technology and
Right.
maybe discussions
Right.
that need to be had again. I mean, 35 letters is a lot of letters. I mean, it's kind of shame on us, right? If it's been in the, not you guys because you haven't been on it for, you know, but because, you know, all this stuff has happened, but maybe it's time to rethink some of this and hey, does the town really want, you know, what does the town want in terms of this?
If I may, I think part of this is gonna be self-fulfilling by way, I mean, DirecTV that I have a satellite on my house, they're no more satellites with them. So there are other options. I mean, and a lot of people are just cutting the cord altogether.
Right.
And they're streaming or doing whatever they want, whether it be a Roku or
And there
Netflix.
lies the problem, because they will not come out. I had one on my house when I bought it. I don't live in the district, but
Yeah, us too. They won't remove it.
they will not remove it. You have to do it yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know-
So, you know, and who wants to get up, you know, 3
Right.
stories on a ladder if you're 78, you know, to do it yourself, you know?
Right, but maybe there's a way to work something out with a contractor that
I
would do it at a
will say the
reduced rate for
previous
people,
commissions
so.
were hoping for that. They kept pushing it off, hoping
Right.
for the technology, the way they're pushing off solar panels, hoping for
Yeah.
shingles.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess just continued, you know, discussion and all of it.
It's intense.
Yeah, I did have one
Yeah.
other question because I did have some applicants comment to me, and I guess this is a question that you guys would know. So if you're, it's kind of a subjective question, but so if you live in the district and you do a major renovation, okay, like what do you think how much cost do you think is added to a project? Like what percent would you guess? Because people have said to me, it was just a significant added cost onto our
So
project.
I've tried to quantify that.
Yeah.
So what happens is that a window may be in the neighborhood of $300 to $500 more.
More.
So let's say the biggest federal, again, we're talking about the streetscape,
Yeah.
right? So they have 9 windows. That's 4,500, if assuming it's 500. And wooden clapboards ended up being about the same price as the Boral. We allow composite materials on the corner boards. The roof is, we allow asphalt, so they don't have to It's really not that much more money when you come
Yeah, so
down
what
to
if
it.
they had a wooden roof originally?
If they wanted to go to asphalt,
Yeah, is that
Um,
allowed?
yeah, I don't know the specific on that. We haven't had many people that have gone from wood to asphalt, so
Yeah.
I can't tell you,
Yeah.
you know, if we've had any kind of decision like that.
Yeah,
But
so-
asphalt is allowed,
Yeah,
so it's not as though we say no to that.
right, even if they had wood, it's allowed.
And if they wanted to replace it with wood, of course they can replace it
course.
in time.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But
But
I would
I
love
also,
that.
my research indicated that we don't have jurisdiction over gutters. So people can put up aluminum gutters. I mean, we have done so much to try to
Yeah.
understand the rules and regulations
Yeah.
these towns, and the town people voted on satellite dishes twice.
Yeah, yeah.
2 times. They had it because they made a mistake in Springtown meeting and had to do it over again in Fall Town meeting. Huge percentage. That's like 2/3 of the town said no to satellite dishes. Now, I know you hear
Well,
from the people.
2/3 of the people that
said
went to
no,
town
and you
meeting.
hear from the
2/3
people.
of the people that went to town meeting,
And-
let's be fair.
2/3 of the people who went to
Right.
town meeting.
No, I
and the
know,
voting.
believe me, I
and
know.
if it's your issue, then
Yeah,
show
yeah.
up.
Right.
And
Oh, believe me, I know.
And
Yeah.
with that in mind,
Yeah.
that, you know, when you hear from people that are having issues about taking it down, and I get it, and they're supposed to come to you with this, and I'm glad they have, because this is the kind of awareness I'm expecting to be raised in these matters. Having said that, I have to tell you, I'm reading I'm reading 2 letters from people about what should be cleaned up. Handwritten
Oh, I
letters
know,
about,
we get those too.
and you get them, and
Yeah.
how many people have said, please get the satellite dishes off?
Yeah. Interesting to see
So to end on a
if those
positive
people live
note,
in the.
Yes.
one of the, one
Yeah.
of the questions that you had asked about
Yeah.
people coming in and applying, et cetera, is that we have encouraged people, if they have a large project, to come in first and pick our brains and we can pick theirs, so that they come in and go, this is what I'm thinking about doing, before they've even filled out an application.
Yeah.
What do you think? And we can say, well, this is great, but this is not something that we would, they're wanting to put a 9-foot picture window in a house. This is not something we normally would
Yeah.
approve of in the district. But this is fantastic, and this is great, and you're on the
Yeah.
right page with this.
And
so
having all your
we-
documents
we
aligned so
have-
people can
we
pour
have a
over that
guidance
stuff.
kind of a meeting
Yeah.
with it,
Yeah.
and that's been very, very
Very
helpful
helpful.
And
for
one
a lot
other
of
re-
different people, and they really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And one other really important point that you should be aware of is that the streetscape, in this commission's opinion, is the most important public way.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though we have a need on the waterscape, our waterscape is to make sure people still see that they're houses,
Yeah.
okay? But we allow all sorts of material, weather-resistant, plastic, cable railings.
Well, if you
and-
didn't, no one would ever build on the I mean, they'd be crazy to build on the water.
But that's not true in all harbors.
Right,
Okay,
right.
because there are historic harbors, you just can't
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that in
yeah.
Massachusetts.
No,
Rockport does.
Yeah.
Okay, but having said that, what we're trying to maintain from the street, direct street view, people don't come to Rockport to see what they left. I know how to tell, when you talk to people that are downtown, they're like, wow, there isn't satellite dishes. You know, and when you have to, it's a very, very difficult balance of character and charm.
It's all balanced.
It is.
It really is.
And,
Well
and it,
said.
and that is not a ton of money to that decision, because going back to your question I think it's fair to question to ask how much more for a project.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Is there a difference in the valuation metrics?
Right.
For a home that's located in the district versus one that's a half mile in Summer Street or something?
Yeah.
And is that at the time of resale?
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's fair that, to be in a historic district, I think it's fair that there's an additional cost. I think it's part of it, and that's upfront. I mean, you can find that
Right.
before you buy the property.
But I would ask you to tell anyone who's come to you to please come to us with their specific
Yeah.
situation in the satellite dish, and we'll be
enough.
incredibly accommodative.
Okay.
That's, real quick, Jim, Ruthie, did you have something?
Yeah, just a quick question. So you said you would allow solar roof shingles, but not panels, right?
Right now, Tesla is the one that's producing
Yeah.
these.
Yeah, but
They're
they're
supposed to be out, they've been put,
Are they?
and I don't know anything about them.
I worked for I've heard that they're
Yeah.
terrible.
No, I think I'll tell you an example of meeting the guidelines of 40A.
Yeah.
When we say that they could be on the lesser structure, for example, you have a small addition, you put them on that, not on, maybe there's a percentage of view that we take into consideration.
Yeah.
How about the idea of mounting them as long as we don't see them from a public way? That's not the public way in the district.
Right.
okay? Those are 3 examples of meeting what 40A is asking us to do.
Yeah. It's interesting, yeah. I mean, I will tell you, we have hot water solar panels. And I am shocked at how how much we bought less than half the oil we bought before. Like in the first winter that they're up, I was like absolutely shocked with that.
And Sarah, I will tell you my own opinion, and I never really divulge it, okay? Because I'm trying to, again, stay with the rules and regulations the best we can, and we're tortured. Sometimes it's black and white. I know the satellite issue is a big issue, but believe me, that was low-hanging fruit. That was black and white. Solar panels, adding on a dormer,
Different issues.
those are all
Yeah, yeah.
incredibly subjectively
definitely.
interpreted.
Yeah, and that's where I think as we look at, trying to encourage people to move here and invest here, that's where I think those are bigger.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think, in fairness to some of these people, I'll call it amnesty for that matter, for those that had that, would there be any chance of finding any type of financial assistance we could give them in a small abatement for a year or two, and we talk about that?
In terms of for what the
If they have to remove a satellite dish and it costs them $15 more a month to have cable, could we give them as a town $300 for these people in the transition?
It's a question for the Board of Assessors.
Yeah, that'd be.
It's for Diane Lashwell. You may want to have a conversation with Diane.
Yeah, I'm just thinking
I'm
of
not sure
something,
the
I mean, I'm
feasibility of it.
very sensitive to them. I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
But I will say this, we have to do something, because when you're on a commission and there's a rule and reg, and I do this, it's wrong.
Yeah, no, understood.
Well, it won't be on the commission. There will be people who say, we can't, we're just setting ourselves up
Yeah.
Yeah.
for,
Understood.
Yeah. But if there's other stuff like that, that it's that magnitude, I think it's worth discussing and maybe, bringing it back to town meeting and saying, this is how many, listen, this is how many homes, have this. Exactly. Like before we start sending letters out, at least meeting with us, and then maybe we go to town meeting with it to just say, once again, before, just because things obviously change and they've been up for 10 years. You know what I mean? So it's like a
Well,
lot
that
of
part
change
is
in 10
valid,
years.
that we have to
Yeah.
deal with these people that have been up for 10 years.
Right.
But the response that I get overwhelmingly for
Yeah.
people who don't live in the district is, we did vote on that.
No,
Right, of course. People who don't live in the district are quick to,
Right.
exactly. Yeah,
Well, they pay taxes too.
yeah.
I guess, Jim, I'm going to ask you what I'm going to ask everybody that comes before us. What can we as a board do to help you in your efforts as we go along, in a real brief answer? What do you think are some of the things that, because that's what we're trying to foster, is that spirit of cooperation and working together. So what can we do to help you in your efforts?
I would say that we're wrapping up the guidelines, and I would take the time to read the application process and the guidelines, so you know what is in place in Rockport now. And this is through thorough research, recognition of Chapter 40C, 40A, et cetera, and just be comfortable with knowledge, so you two are part of a very, very important component of this town, because I'm not saying it's a third rail, but the historical character and charm is a big deal. That's it. So, and I want you to be sensitive to what we're trying to do. It's very, very hard. I mean, even that solar panel, if we said yes to solar panel, that would have been this commission and chair of it, of taking responsibility to saying it's okay to put solar on every home in the district. That's probably not the power this commission should have,
Right.
in my opinion.
Yeah. Which is,
The rules were easy. The rules said no to that. We could follow those.
Yeah.
And it bought us some time to consider guidelines
yeah,
that are, sensitive and meaningful.
yeah.
Well, the door's open, so if you
Yeah, a
have
lot more
something,
discussion.
That's it.
please,
Yeah,
make sure you
yeah.
bring it into
But
us.
thanks for all of your hard work.
Thank
I'm
you.
so
Thank you,
excited
guys.
to
To both
see
of you.
Yes,
having,
thank you.
seeing everything online. When I was honestly first on this board, I had someone who bought a house here approach me and was like, I think I'm in the historic district. And I was like, yes. We couldn't find anything online. I
Right.
literally went and tried to help them find. They couldn't find anything online.
Right.
So that in itself, like for people to be able to come to you before they start a project and see all of that online is like priceless, honestly. So thanks for all of your hard work, both of
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okey doke. Interesting. I think we're gonna have a lot come up with these.
I know.
I'm glad.
Yeah,
It's-
it's
I
great.
think it's
Right.
awesome.
It's awesome, yeah. Any other business? I just had two really quick things.
Okay.
So, you said that, are you guys gonna send out a will you send out just a reminder email with upcoming dates?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
we will. We're working through some technical kinks.
That's
on
fine,
the
even just an
master
email
plan.
is fine, we don't have to worry about the calendar yet.
Yep.
And then, I was gonna ask who takes care of, I keep meaning to ask, to call you when I'm driving by. Who takes care of the front of town hall, like the grass and the flowers and everything?
DPW, right?
DPW does is.
So could that be one that we maybe give to the garden, ask the
So the
garden
the
club?
garden club does the flower beds. DPW does the shrubs against the building.
Okay, because honestly, it
And-
looks like it looks horrific.
The walkway in
horrific.
here is the other
We've-
one that
It
coming in
looks-
here down the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, no
It is, yeah.
offense, and I see
We've
that
talked about
the
the front of
DPW
it.
have their
They need to
hands
take
full,
the bushes
obviously.
out. We've talked about some adjustments to the landscape over at the annex as well, like those bushes that run along that walkway. We don't need them anymore.
Yeah.
They're just old and it's out of date.
Okay.
So
But like
that's
the
on the radar.
grass, it looks it looks awful.
The grass got a little bit of a top dressing when they put in that the granite sign. Yeah, some of it is just how much do we
Yeah,
we
but it
choose
also
to
just
put
needs
into
to be
it, but
mowed. Like I could mow.
it's mowed every Friday.
I'm just like I don't know.
Well,
It's
the
like
grass is mowed every Friday.
Yep.
okay,
Yep. 1 p.m.
Okay.
every Friday they cut the
great.
grass.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yep.
Good.
Okay, so maybe just more discussion about
Or
that
the
because it's like
beautification
it's like
committee?
first impressions.
Yeah, we need to. The tree
You know?
needs to be trimmed. The entire outer landscape on
Yes.
these two buildings has a lot to be desired.
Yes, because you drive by the police station and it's like spectacular looking.
Yes, their
Grass-
sprinkler system. It looks beautiful over there.
Right. So,
Yeah.
That's true.
Greg's happy, huh?
That's all to Jerry.
Yeah, that is Jerry Peckham. That's exactly
yeah,
right.
Okay. Great. Anybody have anything else?
I'm good.
Happy 4th, everyone.
Yeah.
A safe 4th.
And if you haven't had an opportunity to see the reading of the Declaration of Independence,
Yes.
that is outstanding.
Yes.
Yep.
What time is it? At 10?
10.
10.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
It's really good. People start yelling during it, and Francis Fleming. He does, yeah. It's great.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great.
I'll be in Maine.